We'll call this meeting to order. January 26th, Fairfield City Council. Rebecca, would you call the roll, please?
Rowe.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Toohill.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Here.
Council, are there any suggested changes to tonight's agenda?
We would like to strike the resolution authorizing a use-step application.
We're striking the resolution authorizing a use step application from tonight's agenda. All right. And so I'll read the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 council meeting. Approval of the January 16th, 2026 payroll in the amount of $166,638.70. Acceptance of the Beautification Commission minutes. Resolution of tobacco device permits. Resolution of employment of interim police chief. Resolution of employment in the parks and in the Park and Recreation Department. Approval of 2026 mobile home permits. Approval of liquor license for Dollar General Store number 7142 and Fairfield Arts and Convention Center. Approval of ACH payment to Iowa Workforce Development in the amount of $1,245. Approval of ACH payment to the Iowa Department of Revenue in the amount of $931.34. Approval of total claims in the amount of $1,176,674.26. Claims in excess of $75,000 include Christner Contracting, $356,907.68. DeLong Construction, $290,347.29. Drish Construction, $172,120.64. And is it Faye? Phi Excavating, $114,142.47.
Move to approve consent agenda.
There's a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I did review the claims, and for clarification, if you want the four big ones, the 356 was the fire station, the 290 was the airport, 172 was Walton, and the 5 for 114 was for Sunrise Trail.
Thank you, Mr. Toohill. Any further discussion? If not, Rebecca, if you call the roll, please.
Kness.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Our next item on our agenda are public forum and appearances. We have Terry Baker, Executive Director of the Convention Visitors Bureau, and also speaking regarding the Public Art Commission. Terry?
Yes, I am actually here tonight representing the Public Art Commission. This was a commission that Mayor Boyer established last year, and we have been charged with creating a philosophy of public art for the community as well as an arts and culture plan for the community. One of the things that we've been, as we're working on this plan, we discovered that we actually are getting requests for people wanting to do some public art, and so we need an application. What you should have in your packet is the actual application that we are proposing, as well as some reasons for this application to cut down on city liability, to also be clear with the artists that they are fully funded, that they understand materials, they understand maintenance, who's going to own the art at the end, are they gifting it to the city, in which case the city would have to approve that. This is not an RFP, we are not guaranteeing any funds or offering any funds for the public art. This is simply an artist or building owner who would like to put some public art up somewhere in the community. So our job is then to take those applications, run through them. We have a metric system to sort of score them and then present those projects to council. So you have a much easier time of going, oh, is this a project that we really want? It is not a subjective process where we're evaluating the artwork itself. It is really looking at the process. Yeah. Is the project fully funded, or are they getting funding? Does the artist understand the scope of the work? Do they need scaffolding? Do they have insurance? Is the project going to be maintained? What is the upkeep over 10 years, that sort of thing? And who's going to do that job? So that's what that application does. It's a rather extensive application with lots of little questions and places but we wanted to make sure that it was very clear and also protect the city's interests and make it easier for that process to happen. So we're asking tonight for you guys to approve that application. If it's something where we need more time to read it, look it over, and we need to postpone, then great, we'll go with that. But we do have some pending people wanting to do projects, so we want to move rather quickly to get this up and running. You have the draft version. I'm open to any suggestions. I will do a final version that will have city logo. That application can live on the city website, but as I mentioned, the Public Art Commission will take that first round of evaluating those and making sure they fit the criteria before anything is presented to council for approval.
So there exists a Public Arts Commission?
Yes, there
Are
is.
there members?
They are people that were appointed by Mayor Boyer.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. What's the size of the commission?
It's probably about 7 people.
Okay.
So Susan Kessel and Jasmine Bodie, Marla Brader, myself, Tommy Brower, and I think there's a couple other people. We have not met in person for about 2 months, so I'm forgetting a few of them, I'm
Okay,
sure.
all right. I'm just curious, I think I recall the mayor speaking of it. I'm sure it was created. You've had meetings though in the past?
Yes, we have.
Have you submitted any minutes to council?
We have not. We've just really been in sort of a discovery phase about what other communities are doing and how that really intersects with our community, wanting to present itself as a really creative community. We're taking sort of the philosophy that we want art to be accessible to the entire community. We don't want to have, it's got to be just like this or just like this. So we're just getting sort of wording those things and figuring that out right now. We will be happy to submit some things when we get something actually that's
Right.
worth submitting.
Right. I'm speaking as a council member. I think it'd be worth reviewing. I'm not sure what committee would want to take this up, but since it's a fairly detailed application,
Yes.
it seems to me that it might be worth having a committee review it and then come back to the council with a recommendation. Any other thoughts in that regard?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Is there a committee that
What about economic development?
economic development certainly could be one of those committees?
Economic development doesn't want to take it on, property could, but,
true.
I've read the, draft. It seems pretty straightforward to me. But I think if the sense is that we want to have a little bit more time to digest it and run it through a committee, I'd support that.
I also do remember discussing this. I don't know if you want to give Mayor Boyer another chance to present what her reason or the founding of this and the
What
onus,
her
I
thoughts
guess,
were when it was
of it.
created?
Yeah. Before we maybe send it off, but I'm fine either way.
Either way being,
If you want to give her another chance to discuss the onus of the whole process of it and why it was formed and how it was formed and when it was discussed, because I know it was discussed here at council. Not much of an in-depth discussion, but it was presented to us, I guess.
right.
So
We could vote on it tonight. We could postpone any further movement until we have the mayor returns, which might be for some time, or we could prefer it to a committee. I think if we want to move it forward, and the committee can still review it, and then when the mayor is here, she can speak to it if that
Yeah.
opportunity comes along.
either way, I'm fine either way.
Okay. I think it's fine to refer it to the Economic Development Committee.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. So I'm not going to I'd entertain that.
Well, what's our time frame, though?
What is the time frame? You said something is imminent, or how imminent is that?
We have an application we have one application and they want to do something fairly early in the spring. We think it's a very tight timeline no matter what. So that we'll have to see how that one goes. We have several other projects that are being presented that people are interested in.
Right.
So just moving things along. So
Yeah.
I think we don't want to wait until late summer or
I don't-
fall.
Right,
If we
right,
could do something
yeah.
like next month, that would be cool.
Right. I know. My sense is I don't think it's going to be a great deal of time that's going to pass, but it may make some sense just to look at it a little bit more closely, more time. So if there is a motion, or I'll make a motion, as councilman, I'll make a motion that we refer this to economic development for further review and perhaps a recommendation to the council as to what course of action we should take.
I'll second that.
There's a motion.
And I would make a friendly amendment to that we do that not later than being able to go to in front of the full council within a month, within 2 meetings. I think if it's practical to impanel the Economic Development Committee and have it ready to go by the next, so Terry can move forward, I would make a motion to amend that to simply say that this be done, that the Economic Development Committee review it within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks, by the
Is that
next council
possible?
meeting?
Is that possible?
Within 2 weeks by the next council meeting.
Well, within 2 weeks so that it's available, it's ready to go.
For discussion
For the
at the
next
council
council meeting.
Well, yeah, see, who's our economic meeting? Yeah, I think so. That's possible. That's a friendly amendment. I accept that. Yeah.
I'm available.
Okay. So the amendment's been, the motion's been amended such that there'll be a recommendation or some review of it by an economic development to speak to the council by the next council meeting, which is February the 12th.
Ninth.
February the 9th. February the 9th. Okay. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Rebecca, if you call a roll, please.
Gandy.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
The next item on the agenda, next items are resolution, action items, and ordinances. First action item is consideration of revised boat ramp location at Walton Lake. We have our city engineer and public works director to speak to it, Melanie Carlson.
So, and I'm gonna double check, back in September, the council approved a boat ramp on the west side of Walton Lake. Shortly after that, Doug and I met with Chad Dolan from the DNR, and he didn't think that that location was steep enough for a boat ramp. And we were able to review a lot of the lake with him, and so while staying on city or adjacent to city property, the next best location was closer to the spillway on the southeast corner, with the parking lot, or excuse me, the driveway down to the spillway. It allows for some turning movements, but I guess I also want to remind the council and the public that under the current regulations out there, it would only be used by the DNR and city employees as needed for, so it's not a public boat ramp. And so then included in your packet is also the gates and a chain link, not like a regular chain link, but a chain fence that would line the sides of it in order to, again, keep the general public access off it best we can. So what we're looking for is council approval for the new location, so that we can have city staff place the rock for that location.
Molly, question. What's the judgment as to the best gate, the most secure gate? We have a couple of options.
Yeah, so the one that's shown on the third page, the triangle-shaped ones, and I can't think of the term, but where they're offset.
Yeah.
And so that way, if someone wants to launch a kayak, they can still walk down there, they can still drag their kayak through those. But yet then those can be released for the DNR to get a larger boat down there. I have used a pipe gate and, or, you know, a farm gate.
Yeah.
I have put that in the cost estimate just in case we have trouble making the triangle shaped ones, or The pipe gates are more expensive, and so I just wanted to be safe with the cost estimate. But ideally, we would do the triangle one, but either way, we're gonna offset them. So again, kayakers could still launch from the location. It's just people aren't pulling, they're not backing their boats in. I mean, people will still find a way, I'm sure, but we'll do the best to limit what we can.
Well, question for clarity. So we're not keeping the public out of this completely, because if someone wants to drag a kayak between the gate, that's
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
It's just not okay to back a pickup truck with a boat.
Yes, with a motorized boat.
So to repeat your request.
That the council approve the new location so that we can lay the granular surfacing while the level is low.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Was there a motion and a second? Any further discussion? Rebecca, if you call a roll, please.
Kness,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is consideration to authorize letter of support for Suddha, am I pronouncing it correctly, I hope, development for CAT grant application. And we have, speaking on behalf of Suddha Development, Najah, tell me your last name again, please.
Najah Douaji.
Yes, and you are developing the project.
Yeah, so this is, I'm developing a project on the square, the big, large castle-looking building.
Yes.
That's on the north side of the square. We've been renovating it with a number of crews over probably about 3 years now. Very, very large project, very expensive project. And I'm here to request a letter of support so that I can go ahead and apply for the Catalyst grant that is provided by IEDA.
Mm-hmm.
And which is, I think there's only one particular application that is allowed per calendar year. And I think it's due in a couple of days.
Yeah, as I understand, is a pre-application due by the 29th? Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So the way that I found out about this Catalyst grant was I went and had a meeting with Deb Durham with IEDA, along with Jim Thompson and Nick Sorensen from the Historic Tax Credit Board. And we were trying to figure out how to stabilize the particular project that we're working on right now, because we exceeded our budget tremendously and there were no more funds. So the essential part, or the heart of the building, was really the elevator that was missing. It's a 3-story building. Without a commercial elevator, it would pretty much be impossible to go up and down unless you're an athlete. Like Meg, who lives in the penthouse. She's been very gracious to be living there and going up the stairs daily, actually 5 or 6 times a day probably. But it would be very difficult for anybody else to be living 2nd and 3rd story building without a commercial elevator. And for about a year, we didn't have the funding to do that or complete any of the common spaces. So I went ahead and met with Deb Durham, and we, tried to figure out how to resolve this issue. And she said, Catalyst grant, please apply for it. We're inviting you to apply for it. And this should provide you with the missing funding, which is about $100,000. I've already put in about $114,000 just for the commercial elevator. And so we're needing another $100,000 to complete it. We're probably about 95% complete. And all we need now is the funds to pay for the balance so that they can allow us to activate it once the inspection goes through, which should be in the next week and a half or 2 weeks, I would say. So that's where we're at. Without the activation of the elevator, I think the project and myself will probably not be capable of moving forward with this. A lot of the clients that came in and people who wanted to purchase and rent would find the elevator as an open shaft. And so nobody could quite believe that it was going to happen. And the response was always, we'll come back when the elevator's in. We'll come back when the elevator's in. Nobody, of course, wants to, pay that much for a unit, considering there was no elevator. So for about a year, we had no funding, unfortunately, but we still continued to, continue with the project slowly but surely. And then finally, about 2 months ago, we were given just enough to continue the project and finish it, but it was contingent on this particular $100,000 coming in from IEDA. So normally, for something like this, I think it would be easy for an applicant to come in and maybe, get your okay to go ahead with the application. But I understand when I looked at the agenda, apparently there are 2 different entities that are looking to apply for this. So I'm not sure if the decision would be made today or not. I'm happy to give you an outline of what we need, why we need it, and give you sort of specifics as to how this would not only stabilize the building but activate it completely. Currently, we have one owner living in the penthouse. She has invested a tremendous amount to move here to Fairfield and live in a beautiful building, and she's extremely active in the community, which is fantastic. We'd like to see more people like Meg coming to move in, but I think, again, the elevator is necessary. We also have 2 more people living in the units they're renting apartments there. And one of them is on the ground floor. She doesn't need the elevator. That was why she chose the ground floor. And one other person that's on the 2nd floor was hoping that the elevator would be installed by now. So we're kind of, I don't want to moan too much about not having enough funds, but I'm at the end of my rope as far as not being able to complete the building. I can't find another $100,000. I've already spent about $1.8 million, including the sale of the unit, going right back in and helping with the rehabilitation of the building. And what else? I think that's it. So I hope that you can approve this. It would definitely help sustain where we are and activate it and stabilize the building. And with the elevator, people won't have the excuse of saying that they don't have an elevator and they can't move in. So I'm hoping that it's somehow approved. If the other entities, the other requestee is approved, then we probably have to wait a lot longer, which will be very difficult considering we're so close to completing the actual elevator install. It's taken about 4 to 5 weeks now, of 6 a.m. to very late every week. Mechanics have been working very hard to get it done, and we're very close to it, and hope that you guys can grant the request so that I can go ahead and submit my application to IEDA.
So the letter that's attached to the action item, I think as I recall, it asks for tax credits. Is that?
No.
Can we open that letter? Can we bring that up, Jason?
Not that one.
The
one above.
Yeah.
The action item. It's okay.
Suddha development, and then the tax abatement equates to $44,000, which will exceed the local match requirement. So please accept this as proof in support of a local match for Suddha development.
So this was from 3 years ago, right before we started the demolition. As soon as we got the application for the initial grant of $450,000 3 years ago, needed some kind of a match from the city. And this is actually this is the previous letter that we got. The most recent one after this doesn't give a dollar amount. It just says that you're going to give us the 10-year tax
So this is not the
abatement.
letter you would be sending? How's this? related to the request tonight?
No, this has nothing to do with the request today.
I see.
This is simply a tax credit that you extended to us. In the application for the catalyst, it does require some kind of not, it doesn't have to be financial support from the city, but it just has to be some kind of support. So even the fact that you are applying on my behalf, that's enough of the support. And if I send them, if I tell them that you guys have already invested by giving us the tax abatement, then I'm sure that will fulfill that particular requirement. But I spoke to Jim about it, you don't need to support us financially in order to go ahead and apply for this catalyst grant. Does that make sense? That was sort of,
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I think it's proof of past support
Yeah.
from the city.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right. I know the Catalyst grant there's a pre-application, which is the process, I think, the stage you're in now, and they have a checklist of the pre-application.
Yes.
I know Jill Lane is the director of Main Street Fairfield.
Yes.
We're going to ask you to speak in just a moment, but there is a pre-application process, and
Yeah.
there's a checklist there. I'd like, if you don't mind, have her speak to
No,
this.
no, yes.
Because we have two applicants
Yes.
for this Catalyst
Yes.
grant. Is it?
Thank you. Yeah, I hope to clear up the fact that we do have two applicants. In the way of, at the level of IEDA, they are welcoming two applicants from Fairfield because they are placing your project under an emergency situation due to the status of the project, and the other applicant is just a traditional applicant. So they're allowing, in this case, for Fairfield to have two applicants for this particular grant. They're going to kind of funnel them into two different categories.
So is it possible for the city to offer a letter of support for each application?
Mhm.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. We
Yeah.
can do that.
And the letters that are proposed would fulfill both of those obligations. This is just for the pre-application.
This letter would fulfill that
Both of the letters that are
they're
to
attached
both of the projects that are
Exactly
attached
as
to this
written?
agenda would work for.
As they are written?
As they are written.
All right, that's helpful. Council, any other council have questions? That was my concern. I know, as I understand the pre-application process, then IEDA will then invite those pre-applicants to submit a complete application. So one step is an expression is showing city support. But the next step is, after the application is submitted, IEDA will choose which pre-applicants they will allow to apply. Is that right?
Typically, we would choose at the local level. So Main Street will be working to put together a local program where we will then have applicants pooled, and then we will choose one based upon the criteria that is designed here locally that we will rise up to be the applicant each year or as they arise. But this year, as we're just getting started with Main Street, we don't have that local programming yet. The deadline for the pre-application is the 29th. And so being that these two opportunities are different, both applying for the Catalyst grant, but because of the relationship and the communication that Najah has already had and the status of her project, they're going to kind of funnel that into a different category. And IEDA was welcoming two applications from Fairfield.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I need for a moment to consult with our attorney before we vote.
Sure.
Just for a moment.
Thank you, Jill.
Is that it?
That's it from me,
Okay.
unless there's any other questions from council.
I don't think, no,
No?
I don't.
All right.
I don't think
So-
you need to.
Right now, there's one resolution on the floor, and there'll be a following resolution.
Okay, good.
Right? Okay.
Good.
I'd move to approve consideration to authorize the letter of support for the Suddha development for the CAT grant application.
Motion by
Second.
Kness, second by
second.
Toohill.
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? Rebecca, could you call the roll, please?
Kness?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Gandy?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carries unanimously. All righty, we'll go on to our next item, which is consideration to authorize letter of support for green building supply for a CAT grant application, Catalyst grant application.
Hi,
Hi,
me again.
Jill. Yes.
So Aaron Hirschberg couldn't be here tonight, but he had submitted to you the full, it wasn't the full application, but it was the nuts and bolts of the piece that he was submitting to IEDA with approval for the same project. Any
Right.
questions about
I think he
that?
invited council to visit the location of his proposed renovation, and I had a chance to
I did.
visit as Mr. Ferguson, and his pre-application, as it were, is pretty substantial. So, and he has some experience. So I think also he would be a very good applicant, very good pre-applicant for this grant. So, are there any questions of Ms. Lane? Thank you. So there's now this resolution to consider for letter of support for Green Building Supply for their CAT grant application.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor by Ferguson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rowe?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if Rebecca, you call the roll, please.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Kness,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. The motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public hearing, and I open the public hearing, which is on the matter of amending the Forever Fairfield Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. Or anyone present who'd like to speak to that issue? Hearing none, closing the public hearing. And at this point, we're going to consider a resolution. The resolution is consideration of amendment to the Forever Fairfield Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. Can we have someone speak to that? Melanie?
So the comprehensive plan is the guidelines for any rezoning. And so if a rezoning request comes in and it's not in line with the future land use map, then we have to do two steps in a rezoning process, and that is to change the future land use map and do the rezoning. So the Planning and Zoning Commission could decide that it's not worth it. It's not the rezoning that we want to do. It's a way that process also helps with the spot zoning or prevents spot zoning. But the future land use map is the kind of the legal guideline for rezoning projects. Grove Fairfield has not formally requested rezoning of their land between 12th and 18th near Gear. But their proposed development and what they're working with developers on is more of a high-density residential compared to an industrial park. And so what the future land use map shows, and Jason, if you would, oh gosh, I think maybe on the categories? I don't know where the map is in the, nope.
I don't think it's
It's at the end of the resolution.
It's at the
I
end of the
think.
resolution,
Yeah.
thank you. So the future land use map currently shows a majority of the parcel as industrial park. There we go. The gray as industrial park, and then a small portion of it right behind the Habitat homes as low density residential. The Planning and Zoning Commission has gone kind of in depth into figuring out exactly what's the divide between low density residential and high density residential. And that is about it's about 5 houses. I'm gonna say it wrong, about 5 houses per acre? Does that sound right? Seems awful big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 5 houses per acre. I think it's in that description that I just had Jason close. So we looked at several different developments. A lot of North Campus Village is going to be a high density residential. A lot of traditional neighborhoods are going to be right on that border between low density and high density, but then you get into suburban heights, and that's going to be a low density. So that's how those division lines were made or determined by planning and zoning. Long story short, based off of what FIDA would like, Grow Fairfield would like to do with, continue to do with this area, they need the future land use map changed to high density residential. And the Planning and Zoning Commission agreed with that proposed change.
It is 5 to 12 per acre for high
Thank you.
density.
Oh, yeah, that 5 to 6 is about the borderline between, I mean, and I think like maybe right around like Pence Elementary, those lots are just slightly smaller than other places in town, and so those are actually like right at that 5 lots per acre. But then you get a few other places in town, and you're a little less than 5. So that's how we came up with that dividing line. So the action in front of you is to change the future land use map. And again, this is a preface so that when Grow Fairfield or their developer comes wanting to do some high density residential, they're ready. They will still have to go through a rezoning process and a public hearing at that time, particularly if they do a planned unit development. But this will prep the future land use map so that they are ready to go.
I'd move to approve the proposed consideration of the amendment to the Fairfield Forever Comprehensive Plan as stated.
Motion by Kness.
Second.
Second by Toohill. Any further discussion?
There's one thing I want to point out to the public. So if a planned unit development goes, if the developer proposes a planned unit development, I don't want to say that, it allows the developer to make their own rules, but it allows them to bring a set of rules to the Planning and Zoning Commission, but it also then allows the Planning and Zoning Commission to give recommendations back to them. And I had a really good conversation with the developer about some of the things that our Planning and Zoning Commission likes to see, what our council likes to see, such as, buffers between the residential area and the industrial area. So if the developer moves forward with a planned unit development, I encourage any of the neighbors to come to those public hearings because a planned unit development really offers for that input. We're not following what's exactly written in the code, and so there'll be more opportunity for some input at that point as well.
Any further discussion? Rebecca, could you call the roll, please?
Kness,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Gandy,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is resolution consideration of tax abatement application for 700 South 7th Street.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Kness,
Second.
second by Toohill. Any discussion?
You're not gonna ask them if they got permits?
It has to go to the assessor anyway, right? If they got a permit.
Any further discussion? Rebecca, could you call the roll, please?
Kness.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is resolution for consideration of tax abatement application for 504 South 6th Street.
Move to approve.
Motion by Kness,
Second?
second by Ferguson. Any discussion, council? If not, Rebecca, you call the roll, please.
Kness.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Motion passes unanimously. Next item for consideration, consideration of tax abatement application for 2213 Walton Road.
So moved.
Moved by Rowe,
Second?
second by Kness. Council, any discussion? Rebecca, please call the roll.
Rowe.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Ferguson.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item is to consider for resolution consideration of long-term lease agreement with the Walton Club. Is there someone to speak to that? I know there's a resolution. I don't know there is attached a document. Can we open that document, please, Jason? Okay, so I believe the property committee met on this, on review of this agreement at some point.
We did, and we asked John to make whatever recommendations he would have to address the issue of what happens if tax payments are late, what kind of additional language. John, do you have some recommendations for us?
I sent over to Becca, and I think Becca used the word to blend it into this lease agreement.
It's in number 7.
All right.
Amending
Yeah,
number
that's
7.
how I
Yeah.
read it. It's already in.
Essentially, what that accomplishes is it gives discretion to the council if we did have a delinquency as far as tax, utilities, or insurance, which are part of the net lease arrangement out there. The council would either have the discretion to basically, with appropriate notice, tell the club that they're at risk of their lease being terminated, get current, or in the alternative, and if things were tight enough, there would be a discussion between council and the club, in which case the agreement would provide that an escrow account could be established, that the escrowed funds, much like a lending institution might require, would be accrued, and as the tax installments came due, the accrued escrow would be used to pay that going forward. Same way with insurance if there was a rearage or if there was a utility situation. But that is the way I've seen other leases deal with that problem that I refer to as net leases. That's basically what we have out there as far as our understanding with Walton Club.
So does that satisfy, I mean, does the property committee have a recommendation?
This is the recommendation. We were going to go with the recommendation that John would have. It didn't seem to us sensible to have only one if they're in arrears that we, terminate the lease. Seemed like there'd be a better solution. This sounds like it. So yeah, I think it. Matthew, if you've got any thoughts on that, I think that satisfies what we were.
I'm in agreement.
Good.
Councilperson Kness had a comment as a past treasurer about this not being something we want to see happen going forward. Does this satisfy what your concern is?
Yes.
Okay. I tried to keep it pretty straightforward. All right.
Okay, so the recommendation of property committee is to
Move forward.
approve the lease?
Yeah.
Approve the lease?
With the amendments.
As shown here.
As shown, yeah.
Okay. Recommendation of property committee is to approve the lease as shown here, attached to the resolution. So we have a resolution, consideration of long-term lease agreement with Walton Club, the proposed lease attached as part of the resolution. And it's before the council. Is there a motion to
So moved.
deal with, approve? So move to approve?
To
The long-term
approve,
lease
yeah.
agreement, there's a motion by Rowe,
Second.
second by Ferguson. Any further discussion? If not, Rebecca, will you call a roll, please?
Rowe,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Kness.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Alrighty, next item for agenda is mayor's report. Mayor, of course, is out of pocket this evening, attending to some other matters. I know I speak for, I'm not speaking for her, I'm speaking for the whole council, that our chief, our dear chief of police, Dave Thomas, of course, had a wonderful funeral service last Wednesday, January 21st. I know many members of city staff and our city government were present. It was a very moving, for me, a very moving experience, very worthy tribute to a man who gave of himself for all his career in the service of others. I know people here at City Hall felt he was always there to look after and protect us. Even when we didn't know it, he was watching out for us in ways that we can never fully appreciate. So I want to say from my side, for me, and others may have something they want to add, that he'll be greatly missed. At this point, the next item on our agenda is the city attorney report.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, I agree 100% with what you just said about the chief. And I know most of us would have probably liked to stood up at the funeral and said our piece. But I'm very comfortable that going forward, our department and its paper appearance is 100% on good ground. I think the supervisory staff is well informed and ready to carry on. We have policies and procedures that I think rival the biggest metro policies and procedures in the state, and they're current. And that was something I think Chief Thomas prided himself on as far as keeping up with anything and everything. I look forward to going forward with our new supervisory, and every once in a while there's a sit down to talk about something that's going on out there in the community or that's going on maybe in the state. I had a couple things I was going to talk about tonight that are impending right now. One of them is something that the mayor sent me a couple emails about as far as the high cast foundry permit. That's got a virtual hearing coming up on the 29th. I saw some stuff in the newspaper about the earlier meeting that they had locally here. Our city does not have anything in its ordinance or in the state code that allows us really to have much of a say about that, short of public safety emergency or some kind of injunctive situation, which we've been fortunate in this town not to have to resort to those kinds of things. But in this situation, both the state of Iowa and the federal government, DNR and EPA respectively, have jurisdiction over this. That doesn't mean that people that are concerned about the potential for contaminant shouldn't participate in this virtual hearing and give their input. So my 2 cents worth on that is that we had something like this many years ago with Malleable and Dexter foundries, resulted in a heightened awareness and some improvements on a catalytic stack over there that's still there today. There was a time when there was ash everywhere in southern Fairfield just from the way the wind blew and the way the catalytic stack converter wasn't really completely accomplishing what it was supposed to. So that got resolved with the agencies that monitor, but it also got resolved because there was community input. So encourage people to maybe look back on your online news or your newspaper coverage of that and consider at least listening in on that virtual hearing on the 29th. A second thing that's going on, and I've talked to the council about every 2 months for a year, and I know that Chief Thomas was in on some of these conversations, and there is something being sponsored in the Iowa legislature right now by one of our area legislators, Tyler Collins, that wants to mandate that every local law enforcement, if requested by ICE, must participate and assist. And my understanding in previous discussions with Chief Thomas were that if something like that came up, we would have a discussion about whether the request was accompanied by due process, whether there was something that would evidence either a administrative law judge, which are few and far between in this area, warrant or order, or a district court or magistrate, Iowa District Court warrant. And in those situations, it would be an assurance that there would be a due process follow-up. So if there were some reason why ICE was going to apprehend somebody in our community, first of all, we would be assured there was the proper written authorization for that process. And secondly, we would be assured that the individual that was being processed would have a due process hearing before there was any further activity. And I think that's the understanding at the Law Center right now, isn't it? Essentially, what the problem with this is this has already gone through the mill. One time in the past year, the Attorney General and the governor were critical of two sheriffs up in northern Iowa. Started in Decorah, and it started with ICE wanting to go after Luther College international students, and the sheriff up there took the position that only with due process assurances and with appropriate warrants did he think that the law enforcement in that whole county should participate in that request for assistance. That was in turn then adopted as the policy for the neighboring county. I'm not sure what the neighboring county to Winneshiek County is, but it's similar thought process. Those two matters, the Attorney General and the governor, basically said that they were behaving like a well, they were trying to say that it was deviant law enforcement, that it was a sanctuary county or a sanctuary city, and that they would be denied state funds. That's part of the present legislation all over again. It spread over to Dubuque, which has 3 universities and a packing plant, and the Dubuque law enforcement and combined police and sheriff said, we're just not going to do it. About 2 months into this, as far as it being a standoff between the Attorney General's office and the sheriff's, the Attorney General backed off on that position and said, all right. So you have some conditions, and the conditions are very reasonable conditions: due process, advance notice, and warrants that come from judges aren't unreasonable. And for the most part, in situations where there is review by the judicial branch, you're also going to be assured that people aren't flown to Louisiana overnight with no opportunity to be heard. So our posture, I think, in this situation, it's talked over repeatedly with Dave over time, and we never had any of those issues. The fact that we've got 89 nationalities in this community, we have every kind of visa status, and that we've got 5 immigration lawyers in the county says something about the potential for this being an issue. But I think it's also something that's being watched closely. I'm comfortable that the university is policing itself, and if there was something that was what I'm going to say is aberrant or something that should be in front of law enforcement, that they would cooperate fully. They've got their own security out there, but I don't think they'd for a minute ignore the fact that we have full-scale opportunities for assistance from our law enforcement in the circumstances that justify it. So that being the case, I don't know where the legislature is going to go with this coming forward, but I believe that we will, maintaining a position about due process, about prior notice, and about standards that relate to judicial warrants. Those are all things that are consistent with both our state constitution and our federal constitution. I don't think we'll have any trouble supporting our side of that argument. As far as things that have to do with ICE, our city's posture is not that we disagree that there should be immigration enforcement, or that we are not aware that we have an international population. My belief is we've got about 36 visaed workers that are part of autumnal employment right now, and that we've got variety of different kinds of visa work out on campus. Plus we have student visas, plus we have religious visas, plus we have educator highly defined qualifications for visa. And all of those things, they have their place in a community like we are. We are a diverse community, and there isn't any reason that we shouldn't be able to make that work. So far, my understanding is that we've had probably a couple visits from ICE that they weren't really looking for enforcement assistance. They were looking into things that were paperwork. And other than that, there are some people in the community that are actively working on visa status and things like that. I leave them in the hands of our private practitioner, specialized immigration law attorneys, of which we have 2 or 3 of them on the campus. We have a couple of them off campus, and that is where we'll leave it. But if we are called upon, I'm available on my cell phone 24 hours a day as far as what might come up at the law center as far as a request. And I certainly, I have great confidence in our local supervisory law enforcement. I've talked to the county attorney about this. I think we see eye to eye on this as a situation where the constitutional requisites are what our standard is. So enough said about that. I was going to talk about a couple things as far as nuisances, but I think probably I'll leave it at that for tonight because I've used up enough of your time.
Thank you, John. So our next item are committee and board reports. We'll start with the Economic Development Committee report. The Economic Development Committee met last Tuesday, January 20th. I'm happy to say, as chair, it was a well-attended meeting. We had Terry Baker, the Executive Director of Convention Visitors Bureau. We had Jill Lane, of course, the Executive Director of Main Street. You heard both of them speak this evening. Marcus Clark, Professional Engineer and Project Manager at French Reiniger. Doug Reiner, of course, our City Administrator. Melanie Carlson, our CE, that's County City Engineer and Public Works Director. Terry Kness, a member of the committee, and also Bob Ferguson, a member of the committee, and John Morrissey with his assistant, Holden Smith. I'm not going to forget his name, Holden Smith.
You got it right. It's Holden Smith.
Holden Smith. So it was a productive meeting. We had 2 items for our agenda. One was a Main Street Fairfield overview. Second was two-way restoration status update. So Jill Lane, who, as I say, spoke this evening, is the new executive since November, the executive director of the Main Street Fairfield initiative that we applied for. And our second time around, we were successful in achieving. And it's got a number of things. There are a number of things that I think are going to be happening through the positive, particularly in downtown Fairfield, the next few years, arising out of Main Street Fairfield. So she met to give us an overview, and it was interesting and inspiring. And I think she's sort of making the rounds in different organizations talking about Main Street Fairfield. I noticed the Planning and Zoning Commission, she spoke with them at their last meeting. I think she's doing that around Fairfield to make sure that people know what it's about and to help build support, which I think we're going to get. The city's going to play an important part. So we spoke on that. As I say, she'll be somebody we'll be hearing from quite a bit, I do think, over the next several years. That naturally led into our second item for discussion, which was a two-way restoration status update. If you recall, last year, right around this time, we had an economic development committee meeting, which we were interested in finding out what we can do to revitalize downtown. One of the things we could do is we found we've been suggested over numerous studies over years actually, is to restore the two-way status of some of the streets. So that's also, as far as Main Street, Iowa is concerned, Main Street, Fairfield, a primary goal. Kind of like one of the things you do at the beginning or as quickly as you can to give your downtown that sort of shot in your arm to help it revitalize. So that's something that's very much in line with Main Street, Fairfield, and it's something we've been talking about for some time. Now we decided to take things to the next level and actually move forward maybe a little bit more aggressively to make sure this happens. And I'm happy to say, and Melanie may speak to this, in terms of funding, of course, it costs money to convert these streets from what they've been for some time back to what they were, two-way. But we've got some of the funding already granted to us based on an successful application that Melanie sent through for something in excess of $200,000 from the Department of Transportation. There's a second application, a second part of another application that will allow us to get some additional funding that the city is going to be submitting shortly, and we'll be speaking about probably maybe at the next council meeting. It was on this agenda. We want to speak about the next council meeting because a couple of things have to happen before we can talk to you a little bit more about it. But we feel very good about getting that funding. So, and on I think our capital improvements plan, our CIP, allows for two-way restoration in 2027. The funding is I think it's fair to say a significant amount of the funding is there. And I think the additional funding we need is a very good chance we're going to get it in the next fiscal year. So we feel very good about that being something that we'll be able to move forward with and maybe complete in 2027 after we go through these steps as we're going through. Is that an accurate description, Melanie?
The only thing I want to clarify before someone accuses me of slipping a project through is that the CIP does not include funding for two-way streets. It includes funding for Main and Burlington improvements, and so if we get the grants, if we get the second grant that we've applied for, the grant money will offset what the city would have had to contribute for the two-way streets. So that's what I believe you're alluding to with that there's money in the CIP for the project, but it's because the grants are offsetting it, not that I slipped something through and didn't tell anyone that we had it on the CIP. So
thank you for that clarification.
yes, yep.
So in any case, to add to that and maybe to repeat myself, we are. I'm happy to say, from my point of view, I'm happy to say that we're moving forward with this, and I think we'll see some success in terms of actually seeing this sort of improvement in the next 2 years. That was the essence of the Economic Development Committee meeting, and I know we'll be having another one within the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
So our next item in the committee reports is Property Committee.
Great. Has everyone been able to review the report that I submitted? And are there any questions?
I had one quick, easy.
Sure.
I was a little unclear on the maintenance on the fountain for winterization. It said 5 to 15,000.
Meg is here. She is part of the Beautification Commission. Are you? I'm prepared to
Is that an annual?
let you know what I understand.
Is that an annual cost?
Yes, it's a modest annual cost. This is a 350 gallon. If we go with that fountain, but let's back up a little bit because in the report we talked about the potential amendments to the Walton Club lease that was scheduled for next meeting. John got it done, and so we've got that passed. So that first thing is checked off. The second thing we talked about was the Heritage Alley Arch. Number of different considerations there. So the long and short of that is that we asked Deborah Williamson to come back on the 9th with many more details, answering the questions that were brought up at that point so that we could all understand all of the ramifications and what would it take to actually put that arch together. Then there was a very robust conversation about the fountain. And the proposed location of it, we had I noted the people who were at the front table. I did not note all the people in the audience. We had 3 people from Park and Rec. And they were unanimous in saying that the plan for placing the fountain where thought it might go would not work for a whole variety of reasons. So there was a lot of back and forth, including, well, maybe we should ask the donor if they would like to do a splash pad rather than a fountain. I mean, it really got
Is it like a what now?
splash pad.
Oh, splash pad.
Or should we put a fountain in Howard Park, or should we put a fountain wherever we might? So again, we determined that the smartest thing to do would be to have Debbie Williamson bring us all of the options that the Beautification Commission can come up with, so that we would, and I'm sure they will be in, consultation with Park and Rec to make sure that whatever suggestions that they come up with will be, will have the Park and Rec imprimatur. So that's where we are. We will, next meeting, during the work session, we will have Deborah come and present data on the arch and options on the fountain, and we can have a full discussion. So, any questions? Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Our next item on our agenda are administrator and department reports. We'll start with a project update.
So I think the first time in 15 years, I don't have a project update for you, but I did attach Marcus's updates. Oh, Marcus isn't even here, so. Marcus has included a lot of information on Sunrise Trail as well as Walton. The box began its installation in the last few days, and so a lot of good progress there. We were hoping that we would be able to have it complete by tonight's meeting, but might be one more meeting, but we should be very close on Walton. Other than that, a lot of water main breaks. So keep those guys. Those guys have been out in a lot of cold places. Well, they actually say that the guy who's fixing the water main break, he's the warm one, because the water's about 50 degrees. It's the one who's up top who's the cold one. But anyway, so that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Melanie. Council, any questions? If not, we'll move on to the city administrator report.
Given the loss of our police chief, it was brought to my attention earlier in the last week that one of the requests that were made, and I agree, but would like to bring it to the council's attention, that the officers and dispatchers, and I'm just going to read this, it'll be easier so I can get it all out and get my thoughts from being unscrambled. Given the tragic loss of our chief, who has spent more time with his officers and dispatchers than his own family, and who was very close with those in law enforcement, I would ask that we give these two departments 2 days of bereavement used by February 28th. This is an opportunity for these individuals to take some time off away from the organization and to talk to someone while processing their grief. This is a hard loss for our community, but a travesty for those that has lost one of their own. I can tell you that over the last 2 weeks, this has been our everyday, and we will be moving forward. We have appointed Lieutenant Joel Smith as our interim police chief. We'll just be discussing more of that at a later date, but I can honestly tell you that we're reaching out to individuals to come and talk to some of our staff. We're all very close. This is a small city, so we actually, get to know one another and our personal lives and what have you. But at the end of this meeting, one of the last things that I would like to do is the flowers and the chief's vest. That's his seat, and I would like a moment of silence before we close out the meeting.
Can I ask the question before? I mean, I think that's certainly appropriate. You were asking about bereavement.
Yes.
I would think, is that not in our policy?
It is in our policy. However, that for this particular instance, that the bereavement leave is for family and very specific things. This is for law enforcement dispatchers to take a few days off, just so that they can get their reach out to others to step away from the situation.
Do you need something from the council on that?
The mayor is actually, I would ask for the council's consent. The mayor has actually already authorized it. However, I would also wanted to bring it to council's for their consideration, if there's an opinion.
I would move
I
that.
agree, yeah.
Agree.
Strongly agree, yes.
Strongly agree.
Okay. Now for that moment of silence, please.
(5114) Jefferson County. (5114) Jefferson County. 5114 is 1042 for the final time at 12:56. With heavy hearts, we mark the end of watch for Chief Thomas. Chief Thomas served this department, this county, and this community with honor, integrity, and unwavering dedication. His leadership, courage, and commitment to service set the standard for all who had the privilege to serve beside him. Beyond the badge, Chief Thomas was a loving father, a proud grandfather, a devoted brother, and a loyal friend. His compassion, strength, and steady presence touched countless lives, both in and out of the uniform. Chief Thomas will be deeply missed and forever remembered for his service, his sacrifice, and the legacy he leaves behind. His watch may have ended, but his impact will live on in every life he protected, every officer he mentored, and every community he served. 5114 is 1042 for the final time. Rest easy, Chief. We will take it from here. Jefferson County clear.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you all. You will be missed. You will surely be missed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all.